Ladies and gentlemen, this is Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ. Please smash that like on the way in because we're talking about a $500,000 Bitcoin and a bold price prediction from one of the most respected crypto founders in the entire space. I'm talking about my favorite person named Chucky, Charles Hoskinson, saying Bitcoin is going to go to $250,000 to $500,000 in the next 12 to 24 months. So we're not talking about next cycle. We are talking about this cycle, a potential $500,000 Bitcoin. That is going to be massive. It's going to be massive for the entire space, and that is going to lift your altcoin. Tell me what altcoins you're interested in the comments, folks. We're going to be looking at some altcoins live, and I'm going to teach you how to fish. I'm not going to give you a fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish in the base ecosystem. And I'm here with TJ today. It's a very special pre-turkey day. How are you doing today, TJ?
I'm feeling good. Loving to see Bitcoin or all the prices pumping, coming back, strong recovery. I actually will get into it. I'm sure you'll do the whole rundown here in a minute, but I did notice if you guys were watching yesterday and I was saying, you know, a potential good pickup on the pullback was Beam, and then Beam is one of the top pumpers today. So happy to see that. Happy to see portfolios looking really, really strong. Happy to see the Disco fam. Love hanging out with you guys. Smash the likes if you guys are in here. You like pumping markets. You like seeing your portfolio go up. We know a lot of people are probably traveling today, but you know, all we do is sit around and talk crypto all the time. So we're going to be here today. We're going to be here tomorrow, hanging out with you guys. If you guys need something to watch while you're making some turkey, DZ won't be here, but I'll be here.
Yeah, I'm going to be, passing the gravy, everybody. I did do a post now. All of a sudden, the windows start going crazy. Is that going to translate into what the people are seeing here? No, not at all.
No.
Can you look over your screen and just kind of?
Yeah, I can see it from some of the other
I'm giving
cameras.
myself epilepsy so we can give you valuable crypto content. We bring you crypto content 7 days a week. We go live 5-6 days a week. Smash that like button. It really helps us out in our algorithm because we got to feed this crypto knowledge to all the masses, and then those masses will pump your bags, and you are going to use them as exit liquidity.
Yeah.
So every time you hit the like button, you make yourself more rich.
Speaking of knowledge to the masses, Donnie J here says boring old Chainlink is going to be a top 5 coin. That was literally you did a video on Chainlink last night, right?
Yeah, it's going out this evening. I dove into the charts. I found something special.
No, it went out
Chainlink.
last night. The Chainlink
It did go out last night.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And tonight we're going to expose some secrets of BlackRock, everybody. I know you folks love your BlackRock videos, especially when we open up their secret playbooks and tell you what is BlackRock doing, not what they're saying, because we want to see what they're doing, not what they're saying, and then copy their moves, because what they're saying is not always matching what they're actually doing behind the scenes. And thankfully, folks, the blockchain does not lie. So I'm going to expose Larry Fink like he's wearing a trench coat. That's this evening. And make sure you hit on those notifications, everybody. Now, speaking of Thanksgiving, I did want to share this post right here. I just posted an hour ago. I'm only passing the gravy tomorrow if you bought the dip. So sorry, Grandma. You're going to have some dry-ass stuffing, and that's what you get. You're a stuffed old bird.
Speaking of buying the dip, I did want to talk about this for a second. We were talking about it yesterday, and it hit me like, this is the part of the cycle where the phrase buy the dip actually comes from. You know, like you don't really want to, hey, Manawak, thanks for gifting those memberships. That's super
huge
cool.
Gift. 5. Thank you.
What a G. We love Manawak, a OG member, has been around a long time, but you don't always want to be buying the dip in a bear market, right? You hear it played out a lot. If you guys are new here, you've been hearing buy the dip maybe for the last couple of years, and you're like, and then there's all the memes of like, I keep buying the dip and now I'm out of money and it keeps dipping further and all that sort of stuff. We're in the part of the cycle now where dips are for buying because most likely we're going to be going up more than down over the next 12 months. So when you get an opportunity like you did yesterday, and this is why I have that, call it a simple strategy of like when I have money on the sidelines, I've got coins I'm watching, the price dipped yesterday. That's a day, like I said, buy some Beam, buy something that you like that you haven't bought yet, and then you'll probably be happy today. If it did dip all the way to that 77 level we were talking about, then you could have bought some more, but it didn't. It doesn't look like now 90K held up pretty good, and it seems like what? We're going to
just saw another huge pump.
What do you got?
I didn't buy enough during this dip.
Which is?
Dag on. That thing is up another 25% today.
Oh my
folks, I gave it to you at 2. I bought it live at 2 point something weeks ago, 3, not that long ago, folks, not that long ago. I'm curious, what is the 30-day? 284%. on the 30-day chart right there. And everybody's getting excited about, oh, my favorite YouTuber gave me an 80% pump, gave me a 60% pump. I bought XRP and it doubled. I'm giving you quadruples here. All right, we're almost at the quadruple point at 300%, 15.2% more. We have quadrupled the bags. Feeling pretty good about the DAG purchase right there.
Yeah, great pick on that one. And actually, even I was talking, Drew, Blockchain Basement, Kelly, BitLab Academy, basically all of our channels were saying, hey, this is looking like a really good buy right now. They've got really good partnerships. I mean, we were screaming it from the rooftops for several months. And Kelly came in today and was like, yeah, I haven't really looked at my DAG stuff all that much. And I think he'd put, he had bought, I think he said like $1,200 or a couple $1,000s. And he's like, it's at like $9K right now. He was just shocked. He totally forgot about it. So
it's always good when those older coins that you buy, you kind of set it, forget it. Then next thing you know, it does a 2x, a 3x, a 4x there. Someone brought up a pretty good point here. Bear market knife bottoms are brutal because there is no bottom. Yeah, it just keeps dipping and dipping and dipping. But to TJ's point, now is the time to buy the dip because the dips usually end up being huge opportunities. Dips during a bear market might just be, a source of frustration because you're like, I bought it at 50 cents because it used to be $1. And then you refresh the portfolio 2 weeks later, and you're like, it's 20 cents. And then that's basically a bear market for you in a nutshell. What about Aerodrome? We're going to look at Aerodrome. Let's look at all the crypto right now. I'm going to hit refresh. Again, still giving myself epilepsy here. Thankfully, you don't see the flashing screen that's hitting my eyeballs.
Man, it is pumping 95.5. It was 94.5 an hour ago.
I'm in some longs here still in some longs here. But
look at Ethereum.
Yeah, ETH with the 7% pump, pumping 1.4% in the past hour here. Even BNB having a good pump here. XRP 7.3%. We're going to talk about XRP towards the end of the show. Cardano with another double-digit pump here. It is closing the gap. Keeps fighting with Circle back and forth for the number 8 spot. Keep scrolling. We see Toncoin, Tron, Avalanche all over 5%. XLM still printing, still punishing the bears, still not slowing down. XLM doing quite well here. Chainlink, the Chainlink video, I'm going to say it was you folks. It was you at home market buying. And then we also have a great pump for Near and Uniswap. Uniswap with a big 20% pump. All right, let's look at the biggest gainers. Probably Uniswap. Yeah, Uniswap followed by DeFi, AI, gaming, DeFi. I guess you could say DeFi. And this is kind of a jack of all trades here. So we're seeing a lot of stuff in the DeFi ecosystem have a good pump here. Feeling pretty good about the BitTensor. Tried to buy as much as I could near $500. We're sitting really, really close to $600. But BitTensor, if you are a scalp trader, does like to bounce around in this $500 to $600 range. You can see it peaked at, what are we looking at there? Like 610, 615. And so, might be getting close to, a little bit of a pullback on BitTensor. Now, eventually, it is going to burst past 600. It's going to knock through 700. I think it is going to hit $1,000. Is this going to be the time? No one knows. But TJ, what's your guess? Is this the push up? Let me ask you this. Will BitTensor hit $500 again in 2024?
What?
It's $591. Means we need a $91 retracement.
In 2024, there's not that much time left. I mean, could it? It's not outside of the realm of possibility. But if I had to place a bet, I would say no. I would say we're not going back to that level. It's ready to get into price discovery. It's one of the stronger AI coins in a lot of different ways. So yeah, I see it come up on a lot of different lists. I really think it's a strong project. And if you guys are curious, we're going to cover a little bit later. If you see where it says DeFi win there's a reason Aave and Uniswap and a lot of the DeFi coins are pumping today. There's some huge news that came out yesterday, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. But yeah, great, huge win for DeFi, for crypto in general. So super excited to see. I mean, obviously, you guys know we've been talking about it a lot on this channel. Our portfolio, alt portfolio, is pretty heavy on-chain DeFi kind of play. And I think that's going to play out extremely well over these next 12 months. So,
all right, when it comes to losers, barely one coin limping into the red here, and it's probably going to be in the green soon. That's white Bitcoin. After that, we're going straight into the stables that are flat, and that's what we love seeing. And Sandbox being the weakest pumper right here, hanging out with the stable coins, followed by Sui. Then, no surprise, Monero. Monero is going to be a little bit bearish in a environment of regulatory clarity, because one of the things that makes Monero good is, you can't govern it. But when crypto has good governance, then the need for Monero is just slightly lessened. Tia also limping in with a slight pump there.
Yeah,
well,
on that note with Monero, one thing that was interesting it doesn't show up on CoinGecko, but on CoinMarketCap coming in at 99, top pumper of the day is technically Zcash, which is another privacy coin.
I have one Zcash.
I had some that I held for like 4 or 5 years at one point, and it never, like I held it through an entire cycle. It never did anything. And I was like, all right, these privacy coins are never going to make it. Yeah, exactly. I probably bought it right there on that pump in 2018, but I moved out of it, and I'm not upset that I did. Things have definitely done well since then, but it is also part of that regulation, that sanction news that came out today. So it could be an interesting development for privacy coins, but it's more a big development, I would say, for decentralization, DeFi products, smart contracts in general, really crypto as a whole. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and crypto as a whole, of course, is kind of buoyed or pulled down by Bitcoin. So let's look at Bitcoin, because I'm seeing a little bit of strength in the market and seeing this bounce might be a sustained bounce. We might take off from here, and we might be knocking on the door of 100K over the holidays. Everybody, that's going to be very bullish, because if we burst through 100K during a low liquidity day like Thanksgiving, that means there's less resistance as it starts going into price discovery, because everybody's going to be passing the gravy instead of dumping their old coins on you. Instead of dumping that unearthed Bitcoin from 2011, that $5, $50 a coin, the whales are going to be busy. They're going to be busy stuffing their face with stuffing, and that's going to be Bitcoin's opportunity to maybe have those crazy $10,000 daily candles. Ooh, that would be very bullish. But let's look at Bitcoin here on the 1 hour chart. So on the daily, I called out, we're seeing a little bit of bearishness. I pointed out the bear divs on the 4 hour, but we're starting to see some strength in the smaller time frames. Now, when I go to the 1 hour, we're seeing the price was dropping, because this is what we drew out yesterday. Let's go ahead and change this up, and now we're seeing the strength. We're seeing the RSI move to the upside. This is going to spell some strength, but is it up to the 4 hours? Is it up to the 2 hours yet? We do see strength in the 2 hour. And we don't really have any bull divs on the 4 hour, but this is a step in the right direction for the 4 hour, for the daily, and then eventually for the 3 day to turn bullish here. And then Bitcoin can create its next leg up. Now, speaking of next leg up, Dan, Crypto Capital Ventures here, Dan Gambardello, pointed something out with the 50-day simple moving average on Cardano. And it wasn't what we're seeing now, although that's pretty important. It's what happened last cycle and how that can kind of tell us what's going to happen this cycle. I'm going to stretch this y-axis. This is the 50-day moving average. This yellow line is just the average price over the previous 50 days for Cardano. So Cardano likes to battle this 50-day moving average, or at least it did in 2019 and 2020. You can see it was struggling to get above, but when it got above, it shot back down pretty quickly. You see it got above, shot back down pretty quickly. We end up seeing a pump from 4 cents to 15 cents. That was a pretty good pump right there. But then when it goes above with any kind of decisive action, that's when the true bull run starts for altcoins, and that's when the true bull run starts for Cardano. Do not worry about this red wick right here. That's do you remember the Kraken flash crash?
I was wondering about that yesterday when I saw it.
Yeah, that was I don't even know why TradingView still shows this. Kraken had a lot of cryptocurrencies that fell 50%. ETH did, Doge did, Cardano did. And for some reason, it shows up on their spot markets. You weren't able to buy this.
Yeah, scam wick right there.
Yeah, it's like your orders didn't get filled if you had like the moonshot buy target there. But during this period, when Cardano, it bounced a couple times as support, bounced 1, 2, 3, then it truly used this as a springboard. I'm going to measure this move for Cardano. I don't expect the move to be this strong, but I do expect a strong move nonetheless. Let's say we'll do it from the last bounce. Went all the way up 800%. Before we fell through. And of course, we ended up putting in a lot more than 800% during the rest of the bull market. But Cardano did a 9x before it fell back down through the 50-day simple moving average. Let's fast forward to today. What does that mean for today? DJ, I see the 1 wick above, 2 wick above. I'm starting to feel like this is the point where Cardano maybe doesn't touch this for 500% gain, 400% gain. I don't know what we're going to see before we get a sustained pullback. But look at that pullback. Nowhere close to the 50-day simple moving average. So Cardano could just be starting the race right now.
Yeah.
Now could be the beginning point.
I think we've been talking about it a lot here. I think we are starting to see altcoins wake up. It's not the euphoric blow off top, but we will start to see altcoins dramatically outperform Bitcoin here pretty soon. Actually, it might be a decent time to pull up the ETH BTC chart. We've been talking about that the last few days. Ethereum appeared strong in the dip the last few days, and again, a lot of times watching things that dip less in a dip or recover faster after the dip is where you kind of pick the horse to ride on. That's how I saw Beam yesterday. I was like, hey, this is a good one. I have a feeling it's going to recover well. It was on a decent dip, and then boom, it was one of the fastest ones to recover. We've seen that a lot with other strong projects like Injective. You guys mentioned BitTensor Tau and some of these other ones.
All right, well, let's let's welcome the newer entrants into the crypto ecosystem with friendly hands. We're going to not have the crab bucket mentality. We're going to lift everybody up because the rising tide lifts all ships. And we're about to do the first of 2 lessons teaching you how to fish. DZ's going to make it look easy, everybody. Now, let's go to CoinMarketCap. Everyone's asking, how do you buy DAG? It? I can't buy DAG. This is how we're going to teach you how to fish. So we're going to type in DAG. This is just a good lesson from the playbook here. And so you go to CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, you're going to see the same thing. You can either scroll down or hit markets. We're going to scroll down, instead of hitting the tab there. Down at the bottom, you'll see the markets where you can buy it. I like to, make the rows as big as possible. That way you're not trying to sift through all the tabs. And I don't even see Uphold, but I bought mine via Uphold. You can do this, and then this finds you how to, and CoinW. Big shout out to CoinW. You just click right here. I'm not signed into my CoinW account, but that's a good spot trading ecosystem as well. And so, boom, there you go. I've been using I've been using Uphold kind of as my KuCoin from 2021. KuCoin of 2021 was in a weird way. It was like I acted as my bridge, and it just acted as a good not super centralized exchange. The example I would always use, trying to get funds from the BNB, the BSC ecosystem on your MetaMask into, say, Ethereum. It was always difficult. It was hard to get that BNB switched over, any kind of tether on BNB. It was hard to get it over to ETH. I would use centralized exchanges. Boom, just deposit the BNB, pull out the ETH, and then you're good to go. And so, big shout out there. So that's me teaching you how to fish. If you want to find a coin, that's probably going to be the best way, everybody.
There you go.
All right. Now,
I did just drop a link in the chat, guys, to our Telegram, and I think that will take you through a prompt for KuCoin. I know a lot of you guys use KuCoin. A lot of the people that trade in the Telegram are also, I'm not KuCoin, CoinW. So there you go. That's
Mr. Mark. Uphold works nice. He was able to buy XRP over the past 2 years and DAG now. So good job there. Wait a minute.
Got a video for us?
Yeah, I actually hear myself in my headphones.
Okay. Well,
so I'm guessing no one else does. All right, so I'm gonna play the audio. This is just.
But you might want to find where that's playing because I see it coming in. I just haven't muted here. So there is a video playing.
Done.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
Finito. All right, now can I hear? All right, this is one of the funniest things. This is actually the only professor who's actually teaching his students financial literacy. Cryptos R Us, we all are, George. I bet his whole class bought Bitcoin after this.
Hits $100,000 by December 1st and I win my bet, there will be no final exam.
All right, so the guy that trained Goku had a big bet on Polymarket, and he said if he wins his bet, there will be no final. Is that the most goated professor, or is he the most goated professor, TJ?
No, I'll take it. That's good. We want pro Bitcoin professors out there. Good to see. Maybe he'll be a SEC chair one day.
Ooh, I like that. I like him. I just want him to train Krillin. Right? Is that a deep cut from Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
It really does look like the guy from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. That is an epic beard. I will say, if you're gonna, that's a way to do a hairstyle right there.
Chat, we do have the smartest chat, but we also have crypto fans. So 30 to 70% of you do watch anime. What is the name of the character that I'm thinking of? Master Roshi? Did I just think of it? Is it Roshi?
I have
Master
no idea.
Roshi?
You're asking the wrong person.
All right, here we have Charles Hoskinson. We started the show, $500,000 Bitcoin. We said Cardano founder was the one saying this. There is the clip right here. It's less than a minute long. Very, very bullish stuff right here.
As good as Ethereum can be, and Solana can be, and Cardano can be, let's be intellectually honest about this. Governments are talking about a strategic reserve of Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone. It's their entry point. And perhaps in 5 or 10 and 15 years, that dialogue and narrative will change. But it is my belief that Bitcoin is going to go to $250,000 to $500,000 within the next 12 to 24 months because of the investment inflows and the great interest that has been achieved. This will translate to an ecosystem whose value is starting to approach that of gold. an asset humans have used as a store of value for over 5,000 years. Simply put, Bitcoin is the store of value for the internet, and it will remain in that role for the foreseeable future now that it has a DeFi layer.
Dang, saying Cardano is going to be the DeFi layer for Bitcoin, and the institutional interest and the inflows, it's going to push push Bitcoin to $250,000 to $500,000. Now, Charles Hoskinson is a smart individual. TJ, do you think he's just saying that, or do you think he really believes the target window is between $250,000 and $500,000?
No, I think he really believes it. And I think we're starting to hear that more and more from people that are high up in the space, people that have been around for a long time. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much buying pressure is coming in when you're talking about sovereign wealth funds and nation states, and not just institutions moving their balance sheet over, but big money talking about building a strategic reserve. I mean, like he said, if it starts to rival gold, those numbers are going to be astronomical. And this, to me, I think I give him a lot of credit because I do think he is fairly intellectually honest. And this is a co-founder of Ethereum and a founder of Cardano. So, you know, two of the other top crypto, you know, blockchain projects that he's not saying that, oh, they're doing a Bitcoin reserve, they should also do an Ethereum and a Cardano reserve. He's saying, like, guys, let's be honest, Bitcoin is going to be the store of value. It's going to be the reserve. It's how the
robots are going to pay the other robots in the future.
Right. And now that might create opportunities for DeFi and Ethereum and Cardano and potentially Solana, but Bitcoin is still going to lead the charge. And I love seeing somebody like him being honest about that. And I think it just speaks volumes to the amount of maturity in this space and how far it's come. The fact that we are seeing the U.S. government rearrange all of its most powerful positions in government to pump crypto, like that fact alone is just mind-boggling to me, to think they're literally picking cabinet members and key policy-making decision makers in almost across the board, whether you're talking CFTC, whether you're talking Agriculture Department, whether you're talking SEC, whether you're talking Commerce. They're picking every single person that to be pro crypto and to push this industry forward and to let the United States be the leader in that. Like, it's just going to be huge. And I think I'll be real fascinating to see where it goes. 220 is where I've put my price target. So 250 isn't shocking to me. I think that is within range, but now we're starting to hear that on the low side for a lot of different people. So you guys have 12 months left. You can change your life forever in the next 12 months. And you've heard me say it before. I will say it again. Pay attention now, buckle up, take action. Don't just read about it, do something about it. It doesn't matter what coin it is at this point, really. I mean, a little bit it matters, but for the most part, take action with the conviction that you have. If you believe in something, do something about it. Don't let this opportunity pass you by, because this really is a once in a lifetime, once in a generation opportunity to change your life for the rest of the time. I'm surrounded by people who have changed their lives with crypto. That's why we go live and talk to you guys about this every single day. I mean, we could be doing a variety of other things right now, but we choose to do this.
I could be landscaping. My last name's Valdez.
Exactly.
All right, I take to it.
It's a fun thing to do, actually. It's pretty gratifying doing yard work, but
it ain't much, but it's simple work. It's honest work.
But long story short, the reason we do this is we really do love to hear stories from you guys saying, like, oh, I've changed my life. I can actually retire now, or I bought this, I paid off my house, I did X, Y, and Z. And I've heard countless stories like that over the years of people saying, hey, because of something you shared, I am now a millionaire. And that opportunity is right here, right now. And if you let it pass you by, you're going to regret it. I've also seen a lot of people not take action and then come back 4 or 5 years later and say, hey, I remember you talking about that thing and I never did anything about it. Am I too late? And I say no. And then they don't believe me and they think they're too late and they go out and buy some other random coin because they think they're trying to be early on that. And then they regret that. So you're not too late. You have 12, but if you wait more than 12 to 24 months, you will miss what I consider one of your best opportunities. There's never been a time that Bitcoin was more fundamentally bullish across all metrics. Like, sure, could you have gotten better entries if you got in years ago? Yeah, but there was a much higher risk. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's getting listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We're seeing Bitcoin, Ethereum ETFs. We're talking nation states all around the world adding it to their Bitcoin strategic reserve. Like,
I'm buying $5 now.
That's right.
It's about a pump, baby.
Yeah.
Boom, done. We do have one of the smartest chats all around here. I think Bad Fox has great advice here. Take profits on the big pumps. Do not wait for 500K. If you wait for 500K to start taking your profits, you will get wrecked, and you'll probably get wrecked waiting for 250K. I say probably. There's no guarantee. Of course, this is crypto. Things can go pretty crazy pretty quickly here.
And that's where the timing matters. Like the halving, take profits based on time from the halving, not Bitcoin price. I'll say it over and over.
Yeah. And we also have, what was the other one I want to read here? A lot of people going outside. Say, hey, folks, you do got to touch the grass here. We got Laserface here bringing up Jekyll Island. Says, my, how the turntables. Right. Good stuff. Wait, I read that wrong. He said the tables have turned. Okay, so that was my mistake there. DZ was a janitor just a few months ago. I was never a janitor, but I have worked in the food industry, so I'm not above cleaning a toilet. Okay, maybe not something I would want to do today, but I've cleaned a toilet. I've dressed up as Chuck E. Cheese in a rat outfit as a teenager when I was working my way through high school. All right, so. There's nothing beneath me here, folks. I'm in crypto. I'm already dead inside. All right, JJ with the $5 super chat. If you have 250K in the top coins, can you expect a 5x?
Yeah, I think so.
It depends. Like, what's your weight on Bitcoin?
Sure.
If you have 80% Bitcoin, 60% Bitcoin, probably not a 5x. But if you're 10-20% Bitcoin, yeah, you can definitely get a 5x.
Yeah, I'm considering you have like if 20% across 5 coins in the top. Yeah, I think so. Like if you have 20% in Bitcoin, 20% in ETH, you've got some, call it Avalanche, Cardano, and Solana. If those are your 5 coins, I think you could conceivably hit a 5x from here.
And looks like Swell is doing quite swell. A lot of people were posting about it. I was like, oh my God, I hate when people say they're coin pumped and you look it up, it's a 5%. No, that's a pump. That's a pump right there. So yeah, good job, Swell. You guys earned it. You've been in that coin for a while. I just looked, briefly while TJ was talking. Yeah, that's him, folks. That is definitely the guy. I mean, he's got his arms spread like the picture. I mean, that was Master Roshi. Yeah. That was Master Roshi for sure. All right, we got another company following the MicroStrategy playbook. This is going to be the first of several. Actually not the first, but this is amongst the first of the first wave. We're seeing Japanese energy and automotive firm Remix Point invest $3 million into Bitcoin. So we're going to see a lot more companies just do this. Now, we want to see the Magnificent Seven do it. We want to see Apple do it. We want to see Microsoft do it. We want to see Google do it, Alphabet. One of those will equal 1,000 of these. Mm-hmm. But this is still a step in the right direction. And for Google and Apple to stick their neck out there, they're probably going to need a lot more of this before they take that giant leap, because they're not all ran by Elon. Okay, Elon's a little bit different. He's a little bit crazy. And so that's why Tesla has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Also, he was smart enough to buy in 2020. He bought Q4 2020, announced in January.
Yeah, I think this is a result somewhat of that MetaPlanet. MetaPlanet adopted this.
MetaPlanet, they leapt so these other ones can walk, I guess.
Well, yeah, they did it. They saw huge performance on the Japanese stock market. Their stock's been going up, and now another Japanese company is replicating their model. So it's like this concept is going viral. I mean, sometimes you keep it simple. That quote from Satoshi of like, people might just want to buy some just in case this catches on, because if enough people start thinking the same way, this could work. All
right, guys, I capitulate my marathon versus MicroStrategy because I now have a day where I'm in the wrong here. Let me go ahead and move this in just a little bit so you can see the number there. $373 for MicroStrategy. Of course, it was above really close to 500, 473. So it is peeled back $100 since November 20th. Oh, wow. Geez, things move very, very fast with MicroStrategy. Now I am no longer super confident in my position. Now that MicroStrategy has peeled back $100 with a 30% drop in the past 5 days, maybe Marathon isn't going to outperform it forever. But I do think, obviously we made a pretty good call because Marathon is up over the past month and MicroStrategy is down over the past month. And I think I did, a couple weeks ago, I made that prediction there. All right. We also have more just awesome news with Bitcoin, talking about corporate adoption, talking about, sovereign adoption here. Brazil's Congress to weigh Bitcoin reserve as a hedge against global risks. A newly proposed bill in Brazil's Congress plans to establish a sovereign federal Bitcoin reserve. According to this legislation, the reserve could shield the country's sovereign reserve from currency fluctuations and geopolitical risks. Here's where it gets a little scary, though. That's why I made it red, while also serving as collateral for their upcoming CBDC, dubbed the Real Digital. And so this is, backing their CBDC. TJ, do we still like countries buying Bitcoin if it's to back their surveillance coin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
I guess it's going to happen anyways, right?
There's still, it'd be like saying, because why is the U.S. buying Bitcoin? It's to back the dollar, so it's really not much different. They're trying to create a product, Brazil, one of the leaders in BRICS, they're trying to create a product that works for what they're trying to do. But as long as they're buying Bitcoin and holding it in strategic reserve, that works for me, because that is...
Yeah, there's evil governments that hold gold, right? But we're all like, I'm not like throwing a gold bracelet, in the trash because, despotic dictator likes gold.
Yeah, I mean, what they're saying is we think Bitcoin is the best store of value.
Yeah,
I agree with that. What they do after that, I don't really care. I'm not going to use their CBDC, so it doesn't really bother me. That's my take. And I feel like you could say that with a lot of different things. And again, like the U.S. government, just because they're having a strategic Bitcoin reserve doesn't mean I like everything that the U.S. government's doing. And that goes for any government. So
Mr. Mark out here, just don't type in like City of London. They'll come after you. All right. Now, for people who don't know, there's a lot of newer people getting into the crypto space and a lot of newer viewers here at home. If you are new, we bring you live content 5 days a week, crypto content 7 days a week. And we don't take days off on vacation or holidays. We're going to be streaming tomorrow. That's right. Now, this is really interesting. So if you don't know, sovereign reserve, it's a pool of assets held by a nation's central bank, typically used to back their fiat, aka, their normal currency, stabilize their economy, and support international trade. They have $355 billion in reserves as of December 23, primarily back to global fiat like the US dollar. And so there's a really good chance they're dumping US dollars to buy Bitcoin, which is then going to further weaken the US dollar, which is then going to make the Bitcoin in your account even more valuable under your currency here. Under the proposed legislation, it would complement existing assets up to a maximum of 5% of the country's reserves. Quick back of the napkin math here. You're looking at $17.75 billion. Still very bullish there. 17. I mean, you're knocking on the door at 20 billion.
Yeah, that's very bullish. I mean, they've also sitting on a ton of gold. And again, that's what I think we're going to start to see is all of these nations, they hold a ton of gold and they hold a ton of Bitcoin. And that's what they, derive their value from. And then everything else will be a derivative based on that. So it's not necessarily the vision a lot of people had for crypto as far as, basically everybody, all the most powerful people hold it and then loan out against it. But that is the kind of the way the game theory plays out. I think it will be very similar to gold. The richest and most powerful people in the world will end up owning all of it, and they're not going to give it up. They'll give you their paper-based derivatives based on the value of it, and they will inflate those slowly over time. And I do think we'll kind of have an updated version of the old system. I don't think this invention of Bitcoin is going to cure humanity's greed necessarily. Like that's just like they found a way to pervert gold. They're going to find a way to pervert Bitcoin. But hey, as long as we're along for the ride, it works for me. So
yeah, and like Steve says, not all Bitcoin will be mined in our lifetime. So is it around 2140 is the rough estimate here. Now let's talk about politics and what we got coming with the new administration. We got some new appointments here. Now we got Paul Atkins. I thought he died from eating too much bacon and not enough carbs.
Oh, he got on a new diet.
Oh, he got on a new diet. That's right. Oh, he's on Ozempic.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Like, how much that's like killing muscle mass is crazy.
Oh yeah, bone density, muscle mass. Folks, there's no free ride.
Yeah.
There's no free ride. My mother, can I do a cuss word?
I don't care.
Kids, earmuffs, all right. My mother, God rest her soul, she passed when I was younger here, but she gave me good advice when it came to weight regulation. She said it's very simple. It's called put the fucking fork down.
Yeah.
And it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
It just stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Self-control is a powerful thing.
All right. Sorry for the cuss word. I didn't want to bastardize her quote there. Travis with the $5 Canadian with the Maple Bucks here. If Bitcoin is expected to hit 200K, is it still best to swap some Bitcoin for alts? My portfolio is 93% Bitcoin. Looking for max gains. I would not mind peeling 3%. Okay, I would do more personally, but I have a higher risk tolerance. I don't know, what your exit strategy is. But if you're 93% Bitcoin, I think it's fair to, you know, play with some percentage now that Bitcoin is blasted off to 100K. And I think a lot of strong alts are going to outperform. So just go with what your gut says. You know, do choose some quality projects. Don't ape that hard-earned Bitcoin into meme coins, which you got like a lot of conviction or some inside info.
He said alts like Link and AVAX. I think those are fine. You know, those are great picks. And I'm in a similar position. I wouldn't say I'm 93% Bitcoin, but I'm still very heavy Bitcoin. Large majority, probably over 50-60% Bitcoin. And I am now starting to consider, and I still have a ton of altcoins too, but I'm starting to think about, hey, at 100K, if I think it's going to 200K, you know, that's actually, you know, that's a 2x from here.
Quick and dirty plot twist. He owns 0.001 Bitcoin. We're talking about $50. No. He has five. He has five.
Over 5. So if you're sitting, he's got he's sitting on $500,000. You know, you can, and you know, you think that $500,000 is going to go to $1 million pretty easily. But you want maybe peel off 100K into some, you know, I think ETH, Link, AVAX, Solana rounds that out. It's very conservative. I do think they will outperform Bitcoin. We never did look at the ETH Bitcoin chart. But
yeah. Let's roll right into that before we switch gears here with the politics here. ETH BTC, and I do like to use the larger time frames here. So we're going to start with the 3-day, and we said, you know, the bullish momentum is going to start, you know, at least for a brief period, and it does look like it's still looking strong. We still got some strength here. Let's go to the daily. Let's shrink this time frame slightly here.
I mean, it's bouncing off of that perfectly.
It is fighting with the 50-day simple moving average. I don't know if it respects it like we saw with the previous chart on Cardano. It doesn't really care about it. Never mind. No. Okay, so traders aren't watching that. But yeah, right now it's starting to look good. We did get a little bit of a red day yesterday. We're going to see that during pullbacks. You're typically going to see that during pullbacks, but yeah, it does look like ETH getting the strength. Now let's really zoom out to the weekly, kind of put things in perspective. Bitcoin has been king.
Right.
Now might be the time to switch that 93% portfolio. You know, I do feel like we're going to get some strength. Now, it could be a fake out. Look how strong these green candles were. And then we just put in higher highs for Bitcoin relative to the rest of the market. But I just feel like with the RSI, I mean, a reversal is just very, very likely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's likely to check the just regular ETH chart, like ETH to dollars chart, because I think where are we sitting at 35.60-ish right now. If we get back,
ooh, man, that ETH long is feeling good. Yeah, that we got in around. I want to say here.
It doesn't.
No.
Closer. What's that local?
This is weekly. That's why I was like, what's going on here? The local top.
Yeah, like right
under 4. Right above 4.
Right. Yeah, right above 4. That's all-time high. But
you're looking at this one?
Yeah, I was looking. Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah. We got a point of control right here, 35.75, and you know up to 36 is probably going to be around these wicks. So.
Right. So if we clear that, then we're looking at the next leg up is kind of
be around here.
Yeah,
it's just going to be another wave of sell pressure.
Right around 4.
Yeah, right under 4, then right above 4.
Yeah. So I think,
the $200 range, 39 to 4,100. It's going to be a lot of whipsaw action, is my prediction here. I don't think we just burst through like a hyper uppercut.
I think if we can clear that local level, we will get to that wherever it was at 3,800 pretty quick.
Well, let's see. What does the TA tell us, TJ? Because there's a little TA here. There's a little TA with the flagpole. So I like the pole and the TA.
That'll pull us way up. That'll get us new all-time highs probably. Or right up.
No, 42.
42.
So the top end of this. And then we go right above that.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. And that would, if it continues to make that move, it's going to close the gap on Bitcoin. Not dramatically, but it's going to be. That means it's probably going to be out.
Let's be like a YouTuber though. Oh, it's not big enough time frame for the log chart to like really give us like that moonshot. The YouTubers like to use the log chart because that's how you get those like $400 XRP price targets. But on log chart, I mean, we're still looking good. 4,600, a little bit under all-time high, which is around 4,800.
I think that could play out towards the end of this, over the course of the end of this year. So I think we start to see that happen. We've been talking about it a lot in December. Drew mentioned December 23rd as really being the beginning of alt season, but if we clear into all-time highs in early January for Ethereum, then it's back in price discovery, which is part of what Bitcoin's been doing and why it's experienced the huge run-up that it has. And when Ethereum does that, that's when some of those really high price targets come in and you'll see ETH outperform Bitcoin.
It's like I said, we always got the smart shot. Flexa hit the nail on the head perfectly. Gonna catch everyone off guard.
100%.
And they're going to be like, then they're going to FOMO in at the top, and then that'll create a local top. All right, let's talk about this SEC chair. We got some shakeups in the government here. Sorry, we got derailed off of Atkins joke. Paul Atkins emerges as hit that like button. That's why you love the disco fam here. Paul Atkins emerges as a leading candidate for the SEC chair, and he's a former SEC commissioner. This is going to lead to more crypto friendliness here. And so he's the merging leading candidate under the new Trump administration. This is according to Eleanor Terrett's reporting. And his potential appointment comes amid speculation the administration may shift regulatory oversight from the SEC to the CFTC. This is very good news. And it looks like he might replace Gensler here, and Trump reportedly transferring oversight to that different exchange. So we're going to love to see that. It's going to be very bullish.
To a different department, CFTC instead of SEC.
Yeah, and the CFTC, they regulate commodities instead of securities. And we want crypto to be labeled as a commodity because then it has less regulation and less cumbersome burdens.
And in the past, the CFTC has been much more favorable towards Bitcoin and Ethereum than the SEC has.
Yeah, yeah. They become cumbersome. Where's Kelly when you need him? Kelly, I bet, can knock that tune out of the park. He's got that voice for it.
He does.
Cumbersome. Who is that? Angel Dust? Seven Dust?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Anyways. All right. Trump and Besant may open gates to flood of crypto ETFs is a little odd way of saying it there. And they got some basically likely candidates. And then we're going to have a take on some other likely candidates here. Polygon, Algo, XRP, Solana may not be well known like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but that might not last long after the Trump administration is up and running. And experts are predicting a wave of applications for these altcoins as for more crypto options ETFs, crypto index funds, and other types of financial instruments. The path to more crypto ETFs is already being cleared with hedge fund manager Scott Bessent, who has declared crypto is about freedom, being nominated to run the U.S. Treasury Department. Now, like I said, we have some dubious speculation here. But first, let's just look of how does we know what the new administration looks like coming in. What does the old administration look like leaving? We got some live photos. This is heard this morning. That's look who it is.
Looking rough. Old
Looking
Janet
rough.
Yellen, the banking broad, finally on her way out.
She looks like a pissed off grandma.
Yeah.
Looks like the grandma that beats the grandkids because she's like secretly mad at the daughter. And she has to watch the daughter's kids. And she's pissed about it. And they're at the Target, they're at the Walmart, and the kids aren't having a good time. And you better not even look at that candy bar. We will beat you. Yeah, so there she is looking like a pissed off grandma.
Well, and it actually.
And then we got.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
We got her. That's from last night. A lot of people screenshotting it saying, looks like she took a little bit of a sabbatical. Looks like she pulled a Hillary Clinton. We were kind of talking about this last time. In 2016, when Clinton lost, she took time off. I think she went into the woods in Connecticut. She walked around, probably drank some wine. And it looks like Kamala, maybe took some time off. She's walking around. Maybe she's drinking some wine. But Hillary Clinton didn't have a job, and Kamala's still the VP.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different there. But she's just. She probably can't wait for January 20th.
She's looking rough.
She can't wait for January 20th.
The one thing I did want to mention on Nick Carter's post there about Janet Yellen, it actually, I don't know if we're ready to get into this yet, but it is a pretty decent transition into the top story of the day. He was saying Janet Yellen tried to sanction smart contracts and failed. That was the big.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay. Let me do the other potential ETFs because we got a little bit more data. Then we'll switch gears into that. This is from 2 years ago. And so, a lot of this is going to be changed. But, just trying to look up what is the most decentralized cryptos. This is one of the metrics that people look at is number of nodes. I just want to point out a sleeper pick that a lot of people don't talk about is Doge. Mm-hmm. Doge is very decentralized. Why? Because it was a fork of what, TJ?
Wasn't it a Litecoin?
Litecoin. Yeah. And then we scroll down to Litecoin. Litecoin was a fork of what, TJ? Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin, fully decentralized. Litecoin, a fork of Bitcoin, also pretty decentralized. And then we have Dogecoin, a fork of the fork. And that's also pretty decentralized. So there's some sleeper picks that people don't think about when they think about these ETFs here. Let me see. I do want to switch to that. Oh, the Tornado Cash stuff. That's what you want to look at, right?
Yeah. Because that's basically, while you're pulling that up, that's basically what Nick Carter was mentioning there. Elizabeth Warren, one of the biggest proponents trying to attack Tornado Cash, trying to attack DeFi and smart contracts, saying that we need to sanction it and shut it down. And
I got it right here. This is from Coinbase's CLO, Chief Legal Officer, Paul Grewal. Privacy wins. Today, the Fifth Circuit held that U.S. Treasury sanctions against Tornado Cash smart contracts are unlawful. Historic win for crypto. Here we have another take here. I don't think people understand how big of a ruling this is. The court is saying that immutable smart contracts are not subject to sanctions since they're not owned by anyone. The legal system is finally acknowledging that decentralized protocols are a new type of infrastructure in the world. Massive, massive W. Then Balaji, one of the smartest people out there. Privacy won. Smart contracts won. Tornado Cash won. OFAC lost. And then he has the decision right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's big. And as a result, we see, again, Uniswap top pumper today, Aave top pumper today, almost exclusively DeFi protocols being some of the top performing altcoins today. And it really is a result of this news. And like they said, this is a huge win for all of crypto, basically saying you can't put financial sanctions and trying to control. Basically, what they were trying to do with sanctions is that, you know, when you hear the word sanction, think of the word control. What they're trying to do is control what people can and can't do within DeFi protocols, and saying, oh, these nations can use it, but those nations can't. And we're going to cut this person off because we don't like what their politics are. But these people, we're going to let them grow and flourish. And that's the world we've been living in heavily. I mean, for a long time, but it's gotten really obvious since the 70s when we went away from the gold standard. And crypto represents freedom and a movement back towards free markets and equal opportunity for people to participate. And so the fact that the U.S. court held this up is a huge win for DeFi. That has me extremely bullish on what I think is coming down the pike for a lot of, you know, basically crypto as a whole, but really the world financial ecosystem as a whole, because now equally, it doesn't really matter what your politics are. You can participate in what's going on within crypto and DeFi. So it's a huge win. It will allow new capital to flow into these markets at an unprecedented rate. Again, it gets me more bullish than I already was on crypto, more bullish than I already was on DeFi. So if you're a fan of on-chain DeFi, again, our portfolio, you know, Rune, Aave, Injective, Radium, Jupiter, you know, Aerodrome, tons of DeFi on-chain focused protocols. This was a huge win for all of them. So now is the time. Again, this is what I come back to at the beginning of the stream. Now is the best opportunity ever to be getting into crypto. If you're new here, if this is your first time getting in, now is a great time. You know, I mean, obviously a year ago would have been better. 2 years ago could have been better, but you can't go back in time. You only have today, and what are you going to do today and going forward? And I would say it's one of the best times ever to be getting involved.
Yeah, unless you got a DeLorean that can do 88. Let's see if that sucker can hit 88. Yeah, we have a brief article kind of, you know, mentioning what's happening here. Big victory, as the judge says, OFAC exceeded authority and said they overstepped their bounds. And then the Tornado Cash coin surged 900%. I didn't even know there was a coin there. So the Torn coin just took off like a rocket there. And this is the CEO of Polygon, if I'm not mistaken here. I can't click on it, so it's just going to zoom in. Our legal theory was just validated. Fifth Circuit of Appeals has found Tornado Cash smart contract cannot be sanctioned. So just good news all around there. Now, we do have other good news when it comes to just overall adoption from regulatory clarity. Part of that is going to be the states having their own Bitcoin reserves. This is from Dennis Porter. Breaking, I can confirm that 3 new states will make strategic Bitcoin reserve legislative announcements next month. Stay tuned. Coming soon, the states will lead. I looked at states by GDP, TJ. Number 1, we all know California. Is it a top 4 or top 5 global economy? Meaning you separate California, it is a top 5 global economy. It's a very, very strong economy, just that one state. Then we have Texas nipping on its heels. Following Texas, we have New York, then Florida. I was surprised by this. Number 5 is Illinois. I know they have Chicago, but still pretty surprising there. Beating Pennsylvania, beating Ohio, beating Georgia, beating Jersey, North Carolina, banking capital. So I was beating Virginia. I mean, I know that was like leading the way in the 1700s. What were your thoughts on the GDP of states? Is there a chance we see Texas? I would say yes. But what about California and New York? As far as adding Bitcoin to their strategic reserve. Yeah,
Texas is already doing it. California and New York, I think will absolutely do it. They'll just lag.
Okay, so you see New York as a possible.
Yeah, I see all. I think it's inevitable that over time most of them will do it. I think they'll lag. You know, Democratic run states. You know, New York has traditionally been extremely harsh, you could say, against crypto.
You think Gavin Newsom would sign that legislation?
Eventually he'll be pressured to, is my point. I'm not saying in the next 12
It's
months.
like my point with Rockstar and crypto. Eventually they'll be kind of pushed into it because everybody else is doing it.
Pretty much, yeah. They're not going to be the only state not doing it. Once it starts to affect their votes and their bottom line, they'll adjust. So right now, or recently for them, it's been cool in their states to be anti-crypto. Like if you look at New York, crypto.
New York.
Wow, you're really singing today. Crypto really started in New York. They had the opportunity to be like, it is the financial epicenter of the world. I mean, you could argue, you know, some Brussels or London or some of these other places, but for the most part, New York Stock Exchange.
Was Hal Finney upstate New York? I know it's like not what you're talking about, but
no, I was thinking more.
He ran the marathons near Niagara.
I don't know. I don't think he was New York, but we could check. No, yeah, I think he was West Coast. But I'm thinking Charlie Shrem and BitInstant, the basically first place you could buy Bitcoin, the first exchange. Eric Voorhees and Charlie Shrem, that was created in New York City, and then they created the Bit license to make it basically impossible so they could throw these people in jail, and then they became the harshest regulators against Bitcoin of all the states. If you live in New York, you know it's hard to have an exchange, it's hard to buy or sell anything because they've got all these rules and regulations on everything, and so they're going to be probably slow to adopt it. I would say New York before California, but yeah, I think it's inevitable that almost all of these countries.
Yeah, I would say New York before California as well. California, there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy to get that thing moving. Just look how they built a rail or lack thereof.
Right. And Texas is already doing it. Florida's already doing it. You know, so once they start to see,
Ted Cruz growing a beard. You know what that means?
It's once they start to see their quote unquote competition, you know, if the 1 and 2 start seeing 3 and 4 making moves, and if all of a sudden now Florida and Texas are 1 and 2, what do you think that's going to do to New York and California? You think they're going to want to adapt? Probably, yeah. What was the first known ledger? It was a cigarette vending machine in 1872, Oklahoma. All right, now we have Cynthia saying President Trump is assembling an army to fight Bitcoin. This is only 30 seconds. This is heard on Fox News this morning. Yesterday. So breaking.
These are all things that President Trump raised during his campaign, and he seems to be assembling a very pro-Bitcoin cabinet. His leadership understand the assets, not only just Bitcoin, but other digital assets and the opportunities for blockchain. And it then moves into the whole AI culture as well. So I see these things as being part and parcel of creating a 21st century economy that has its anchor in the United States.
Yeah. All right. So assembling an army, an crypto Avengers, if you will. So we know who Tony Stark is. That's Elon. TJ, who's the Hulk?
Who's the Hulk?
Mm-hmm. Is it Michael Saylor?
Michael Saylor's the first thing that came to mind, but I'd have to brush up on all the other Avengers because I was like, probably Michael Saylor, I guess.
You know, it could be Vitalik because, you know, David Banner, you know, the super big nerd.
Yeah.
And then we all know Vitalik he's got a monster one. And so, you know, it could be that. All right, let's move forward here. Thankfully, probably most people don't get that one.
No, you're good. I just wanted to mention that it was interesting to me. She's obviously talking about Bitcoin, but she slides in there also very pro AI. Yeah. And I think that's another, you know, thing to keep an eye on. I do think obviously we're going to see a very strong year for a lot of crypto assets, but specifically ones in AI. We're seeing this AI agent meta emerge. I could see that being very hot this cycle come, you know, spring, summer next year. So AI focused projects could do extremely well.
RFK.
That's
a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You just see him like doing push-ups.
Being the Hulk.
But Vitalik's more like Spider-Man. Okay, we'll allow that. Yeah,
we should do maybe that's what we'll do tomorrow is mess around with just some goofy stuff like I have to look at, there's so many Avengers now, I'd have to look at the list.
Is Tiffany Fong the assassin?
The Black Widow or whatever?
Black Widow, yeah.
Potentially, I don't know. I don't know about that.
All right. Well, who is? I'm drawing a blank on the actress who plays her name.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. That's right. Well, you had that one fired up. All right. Let's talk about base here. This is from Jesse Pollock. He's basically the number one base engineer. He's former Coinbase. Anyone in my network who can connect me to leadership at Telegram. Would love to talk with them about some new things that we're exploring here. And so we might see a little bit of base and ton, some sort of ecosystem friendliness going on. And Base is pretty bullish. And folks, I'm going to lead into the second fishing lesson. I'm not trying to give you a fish. Buy the coin. It goes up. I'll do that too. I'll do it every day. I'll do it all the time. But it's better to teach you how to fish. And so buckle up. This is going to be the second lesson today here. This is Dope Oxide just talking about Base. Base has flipped Solana and net capital flows this month. What projects are you bullish on? Base, and the big shout out to TJ, you found this. This is base.org. If you go to base.org, it's their main page here, and you find the ecosystem tab. Ecosystem has all the top projects building. And so you go to wallet, you see all the people building a wallet. And then you got to view more. But we found a little bit of alpha. One of these tabs is not like the other tabs. TJ, I'll let you set it up. How is that tab different?
Yeah, one of them, and you'll have to uncheck some. I mean,
of them, Jesus Christ, we're still on A's.
Yeah, there's tons of good stuff in there.
Jesus Christ, C.
One thing that's, you guys know we've been fans of Base here for a while, and one thing that was interesting when we were looking at this is one of them only had one kind of partner.
Yeah, look how many social, like, the next Facebook. I mean, yeah, sure, you can put, a small amount in 20 different projects. That's not going to be the best strategy.
No, but what you can do is you use this to find something that's interesting to you, and then you go research further. So it was, Base, I think, again, backed by Coinbase, very extremely well performing. You guys know we've done well with Aerodrome. We've done well with Moonwell. Those are some of the DeFi related projects in there. So if you go ahead and click DeFi, I'm sure Aerodrome will be right. Yeah, it'll
boom,
right there. So,
I was wondering, I was kind of looking like, what would Research Coin be under? Other? I don't see it there. It's not an infrastructure. I clicked DAO. It's not under DAO. That they might not throw it on here because it's so closely connected.
Well, you might just have to hit view more. But the thing is, this website will give you a huge list of things to look through and read about, find something that's interesting to you, and then you go over to a lot of the other tools that we've shown you, like DeFi Llama or Dex tools, and start to see who has TVL, who has things, like users and markets and liquidity flowing through it. That's what we liked about Aerodrome. That's what we liked about Moonwell. But when we looked at who was helping the cross chain,
X Cross, right here,
only one, Layer 0, which is a little bit of a deep pick. You've heard DZ talk about it. He's bought it on stream before. We've talked about it a lot. This is one that I think.
Let's look at it right now.
Yeah,
I might put a couple $100 in it. Nothing crazy.
We watched this on the pullback.
Shite.
Oh man, it
buying the wick. Hate to buy the wick.
It's still, but if you go to max, I think it's still not a terrible. Oh gosh, it's gotten really strong.
Yeah,
it used to be deep below where the VCs made money, so it was a pretty easy say, like,
man, it used to bounce 5.3, 5.3, 5. I hate to buy it, but man, it's like the times you don't buy this are the times it never goes back down to that other target.
Yeah, and this is what's the market cap on this one, or like the ranking?
So the ranking is 181, so it's outside the top 100, and right now it's worth $500 million.
Yeah, see, that to me is a sweet spot a lot of times for these. If you can find them when they're being used a lot and they have good tech. Oh, he's going for it right now.
Yeah, just a small bag. One.
This one is definitely has good tech for interoperability. I just hear it coming up over and over and over with a lot of the smartest people that I know. If it's the main one that's being used by Base, that bodes well. It's going to be used for liquidity and all that sort of stuff. So when we were buying it, we could tell, hey, VCs don't make money at this opportunity that you had to buy it when we were first talking about it was actually lower than the pre-seed round that the VCs got in at. So I could see this easily getting well over $1 billion into the, again, what's the top 20 kind of price range of, 10 billion type market cap. So one to keep an eye on for sure. We like ones within the Base ecosystem. Click contract.
I'm gonna buy 50 of them.
Yeah,
that nothing crazy. Small amount.
I'm sure Base, and it's I see. I got a small bag of 0 for staking. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, Stargate, ZK, a lot of these other interoperabilities and zero knowledge proof protocols interact well with Layer 0. It is going to be what's needed. Carlos says he bought 0 a few months ago. Is very happy that it's pumping him hard. So, cool. Yeah, it's one to keep an eye on. Interoperability is going to be key. Getting these liquidity across chains in a zero knowledge proof way to protect privacy. All of that stuff has come so far from where we were just a few years ago. So ZK proofs, or you guys hear ZK rollups. You guys hear talked about a lot. Maybe if you were here in the bear market,
I think a lot of this cross-chain picks and shovel plays are going to do very well.
Yes.
And it's kind of like doing a lot of similar things that Chainlink does, but more of a microcosm. Like trying to get all the stuff for different chains, but not trying to just be just a regular node or a regular oracle. It's like, I'm going to hyper-focus on wallet integrations. I'm going to hyper-focus on DEX integrations. I'm going to focus on bridge integrations. And so that's when you're going to see a lot of these emerging DeFi projects do pretty well. All right, now we have some more. So that was the teaching you how to fish there. Layer 0, I clicked on that. All right, so now it's time for the Ripple news. XRP equals good coin. What are they talking about? Well, it's from this one right here. World Economic Forum. A member admits XRP is a good coin. Now, if you don't remember, Klaus Schwab voted in his high school most likely to resemble a Bond villain in his older age.
Most likely to become emperor of the Republic.
Yeah. Most likely to send 2 robot droids to murder the Jedi. Why do they dress like sci-fi supervillains?
Most likely to shoot lightning out of his fingers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, most likely to try to hit you with the mind meld.
Yeah.
I got the Chrome Dome, I know. All right. Also looks like he could be on the set of Babylon 5 or The Expanse. Shout out to The Expanse. It's
Babylon 5, there's a throwback.
All right, as the turbulence persists here, Salahi, a digital member of the World Economic Forum and advocate for blockchain technologies, has praised XRP for its resilience here. So I just wanted to highlight that, kind of fun. But XRP has some other news here. Ripple drops another $25 million into the crypto pack to sway the 2026 midterms. From Ripple, Coinbase, and Andreessen Horowitz, Fairshake has amassed $73 million for the next campaign cycle on top of the $30 million held over from 2024. Wait, they had a 2024 campaign and didn't overspend by 20 million?
Hey, wow. Look at that.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Financial responsibility.
Yeah, a little bit of response. I'll read that super chat in a second here. Fairshake will have a whopping $100 million to spend on the next congressional election so far, thanks to another $25 million from Brad Garlinghouse. Do you think he's upset about, I don't want to say wasting the money, but the money he donated to Kamala, I mean, is not too dissimilar from flushing it down the toilet.
No,
do you
I don't
think he's
so.
beat up about it?
I don't think so, because I don't think they view it as it being flushed down the toilet. I think they view all of that money as an investment, and I think there's a reason they're throwing stuff at both sides, because even if it doesn't win one race, they can still point back to that when they're dealing with other people on different sides of the aisle and said, hey, I helped get you here through this move or that move. So I think it's, lobbying is it's an interesting game. These guys have a lot of money. They throw it in different places in order to help their projects. So I don't think it's a mistake that XRP and XLM are being considered in a lot of these top conversations. I think it's, like I said, I think it's a result of a lot of these billionaires playing the game that billionaires play. Whether you're talking about Cardano or XRP or XLM or Ethereum or Solana, or whether it's VCs. I mean, a lot of people look at even JD Vance and say that's a result of Teal, and that's some gamesmanship right there. So you got to look, a lot of these guys are extremely smart. They've got really big dreams and aspirations, and those things don't happen by following the traditional path. You have to think outside the box and take pretty nuanced steps and creative actions to get you where you need to go.
I just saw an old Vance clip get resurfaced. It was when he grilled Gary Gensler over, were you the CFO for Hillary Clinton's campaign? And he goes into the steal. Probably can't even say the D word that came after that, but the thing that was funded from the MI5 agent, MI6 agent. That was him. That was like mopping the floor with Gary Gensler years ago. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I saw that clip again. I was like, oh, that was JD the whole time.
Right. So I wonder who turned him on to that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's just,
maybe Teal went on a spiel is what you're saying there. Maybe then led to a squeal.
Maybe.
All right. Well, folks, I'm going to end with the bull post for Cardano, specifically for you, Steve-O here.
Hit that super chat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got the super chat there.
The new type was asking what you should do
when your coin gets listed on Binance. Do you take half profits? Ticker is it's obviously going to depend on the token, but let's just look at what happened to what was the token that got added to Binance lately? Was it not the Truth Terminal coin?
It was a Peanut, and a lot of
Peanut. That's right.
It
that's
went
right.
crazy. So
Peanut basically started dumping after the Binance listing. I think that's what kind of got it to.
No, I think it ripped and then pulled back.
Yeah, like ripped.
That's the
it
Binance
hit.
listing right
All right,
there.
so there you go. There you go. Play it for a few days.
Yeah.
Maybe don't take profits day one.
Also, the chat's asking that we look back at the Bitcoin chart because it's looking pretty nice.
I was
right
looking
now.
at ETH, man. I was looking at ETH on the 5-minute. I saw that thing started taking off as well. Let's go to BTC on the smaller time frame here. Just look at some. Oh yeah, that thing's starting to That's starting to move. We knocked on the door of 96K, and right now we're trying to beat it. We're trying to beat it down.
Wait, no, I'm seeing well above 9.
I'm on spot. What are you on? I mean, I can go to BTC Coinbase and it'll be higher.
Yeah, I mean anything. I mean, I've got CoinMarketCap has it. Like even
96.
our clock right there has 96 too.
It looks like it pulled back. That's probably down. That's probably a minute behind. Yeah, because even Coinbase has it just above 96 here. But either way, $96,000 looks pretty bullish, everybody. Bitcoin may be knocking on the door of 100K, but it only happens if you hit that like button on the way out. I'm DZ. This has been a fantastic episode. We're going to see you later on tonight. Turn on your notifications. I'm exposing some BlackRock maneuvers that they're doing in the background. And then we're going to have a very special Thanksgiving stream with extra gravy.
Yeah, if you're traveling
See you
today,
there.
travel safe.
Travel safe, folks.
Shill
Yeah.
Bitcoin to your friends and family.
Yeah. Just run it when it's yellow, not red. That's all we got.